dozens more people due to be sentenced this week over the widespread disorder which, of course, followed that Southport attack a couple of weeks ago.
Much of that rioting was stoked by social media, with false rumours and disinformation being shared online by users, including the owner of X, formerly Twitter, Elon Musk.
So why do people do it? Why do lies spread so quickly? We can speak now to Sander van der Linden, who's a professor of social psychology at the University of Cambridge. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. So much misinformation out there on all kinds of platforms. What is the scale of it, do you think, from what you see?
Well, the scale of it is huge. You know, we're talking about the riot specifically. Much of it originated on X, but then jumped to other platforms such as TikTok and Telegram. And what you see now is because the social media landscape is so fragmented that it becomes much harder to control, but it also spreads like wildfire across different platforms, reaching different people in different parts of the country. So I would say, you know, these types of misinformation posts that we've seen leading to the riots have been viewed millions, if not hundreds of millions of times.
And because of the algorithms that work on social media platforms, the people who are seeing these posts are perhaps maybe more likely to believe them. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. So the algorithms feed people information that they're engaging with, that they're liking and responding to. And the more you do that, the more it feeds you similar content. And that can lead to a process of extremism and radicalization, so that people become so fed up with the content that they're seeing online that they might even decide to take it offline.
Because Elon Musk owns what we used to call Twitter. He's rebranded it X, and he's been wading into this personally, hasn't it, himself? I mean, he's very influential out there on his own space and beyond. What sort of impact does he have as an individual, as well as being the owner of X?
Well, it's highly unusual. I mean, he's had a major impact. He has 200 million followers. He's one of the largest accounts possible. In fact, he is what we would call a super spreader of misinformation. Just as with the pandemic, we've had super spreaders, the same is true of misinformation online. He's been engaging with, retweeting, commenting on false posts, manipulated videos. And when he amplifies something, huge proportions of the platform see it. In fact, there have been analyses of this. Every time he engages with content, there's a surge of engagement. And that actually leads to topics that may be trending on Twitter. And so on the sidebar on X that you see, you know, what's going on currently, he can actually influence that in some way. So it's unprecedented that the CEO of a platform is actually using it to manipulate what people see.
He would say he passionately believes in free speech. And there are clearly, you look at his own platform, millions of people out there who agree with him, who like what he stands for.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting observation. I think to put it in context, you know, I've said before that Elon might be radicalizing himself on his own platform in the sense that he's become victim of his own algorithm, and that what he's being fed is low quality information, which he then engages with and then produces more of it because he starts to believe it. But also, if you go back to earlier this year, he has a long history of actually engaging with anti-immigration misinformation. He endorsed the Great Replacement Conspiracy, which suggests that the white population is going to be replaced by a Muslim population, which we know is nonsense. He's engaged with claims of illegal voter fraud in the U.S. Due to illegal immigrants voting. So he's been on this topic for quite some time. So it's no surprise that he started commenting on this specific issue. But then if you look at his actions versus what he says to his own users, I think it's quite ironic. You know, when he took over, he said, okay, well, Twitter was politically biased. I'm not going to be this way. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. Then he told the platform to vote for Republicans. He said, I'm not going to fund any presidential candidate. Now he's helping fund Trump's campaign. He said, this is a platform for free speech. Then he sued the Center for Countering Digital Hate, which produces reports on hate speech on X. He closed down the API so that researchers can't hold the platform accountable. I mean, he's doing everything really in opposition to what he's making people believe to be true about the platform. And I think it's a sad state of affairs that you know, some people have not been able to see this.
And so we've seen, haven't we, over the years, we've seen it change from Twitter now to X, now with Elon Musk's influence over it. How long can this platform continue, or will it just continue to change and evolve?
Well, he's certainly under enormous pressure, both in the UK and in the EU. In fact, he's received a court order in the EU for violating the new Digital Services Act. Um, Here in the UK, the Online Safety Act and its revisions coming into place next year could really do damage to Musk in terms of holding him accountable for his actions. Um, as hate speech is not protected by free speech in the UK. Incitement is a criminal offense. So Twitter or ex-executives could be held criminally accountable potentially under that act. Ofcom has said as much. The government could decide to temporarily restrict access to X. It's not entirely unprecedented. Government employees, for example, can't access TikTok. And you could be banned from the App Store for violating its policies. And that's their main business model. If they get banned from the App Store, or if there's restricted access to X, that could really hurt the platform and would force him to perhaps cooperate and change how he does things. He's under enormous threat with advertisers. He's full on endorsing conspiracy theories now that are conspiring against him. But I think the truth is advertisers don't want their products next to extremist content.
Sander van der Linden, Professor of Social Psychology at the University of Cambridge, thank you so much for your time this morning. Thank you.
Pleasure to be on the show.